I'm so excited to show you today how to make MotherBee's earthquake cookie or chocolate earthquake cookie, brought to you by Callebaut Chocolate. So let's get started. I have here my bowl and I'll be sifting all of my dry ingredients here. But first of all of my ingredients are weighed and prepared already. So I have here all-purpose flour, then cocoa powder, so the indication that you have high-fat cocoa powder when your cocoa powder has lumps, because it is an indication that you will have a great product. High fat means better texture, better mouthfeel, and yummier. Sifting or sieving will help you eliminate physical contaminants. So it is better to remove those lumps and see if there's any hair or any stones in your dry ingredients. Then next is rice flour. This is different from glutinous rice flour. This is long grain rice flour, finely grounded. And then next is cornstarch. In replacement to this, you could use potato starch as well. Next is baking powder. Then we'll put the sugar, white sugar, but you could use brown sugar to this recipe. Then salt, just to balance out the sweetness. Should be fine salt. It doesn't matter if it's just plain or iodized. So we have here our dry ingredients. Let's transfer it to a glass bowl so that you could see. You have to blend or mix your dry ingredients properly, just to make sure all of the ingredients, especially the small ones, are properly distributed, so that later on in the mix you won't have areas that doesn't have salt or doesn't have baking powder. The reason why I've transferred it in a glass container or mixing bowl, so that you could see if the mix is already one color. So we'll put our instant coffee. This is just to give a different level of taste, because chocolate and coffee, you won't go wrong with it. If there are kids who are eating this, then you could substitute malted chocolate drink, just to give that malt taste and to intensify and give that different level of flavor. So I'm making a well in the middle. Then I'll put my liquid ingredients in the middle. So that's egg, whole egg, and fresh eggs. This is the oil. I'm using canola oil in this recipe. You could use coconut oil, any neutral taste of oil, except for olive oil, because it has that intense taste. I don't mind using coconut oil because that will give a great taste to this recipe. And we have here glucose or corn syrup. This will make the recipe or the cookie a bit chewier. Then the vanilla. I'll just carefully mix it, but bear in mind all-purpose flour have gluten. So once the mixture comes together, mix it by hand. You don't want to overmix this because it will toughen your cookie. The reason why I'm using by weight instead of by cups or by volume, the weight measurement is more accurate than volumetric. So you see it's forming a dough, and you just have to continue until there's no more dry visible. So the mixture should be a soft cookie dough. If it's softer than this because you've used my recipe using volumetric or by cups, add more cocoa powder into it until you reach this texture. Okay, so I'll be putting on gloves because this is a messy business. I have here a latex glove that we usually use for food manufacturing. The purpose for this is to protect my hand from messy chocolate mixture, and it's easier to handle the dough. Don't blow the gloves before putting on your hand because you're just trying to cross-contaminate. Then I'll be spraying my hand with this oil spray. And so that I could handle it without sticking into the gloves. It will stick, so I'm just roughly trying to scrape the bottom and the sides and smoothing it out a little bit. But so far, that's about it. So grease your plate so that it won't stick, and then I use this tablespoon, measuring tablespoon, and I grease it with oil and then scoop. You could use an ice cream scooper, but I prefer to use it because it will just slide. Roll it in your palm. I've chilled Callebaut chocolate ganache and then scoop them. So once chilled, you'll have a very firm ganache similar to this. Chill it for probably around 3 hours. So this is the ganache that I've prepared ahead of time. These are actually truffles already. So you could scoop it out like that, roll into a ball, and then freeze it, which I've done already ahead of time. So now that we have our chocolate cookie or the earthquake cookie, flatten it out, then put one in the middle. Just carefully gather the dough in the middle. Like that. Seal it properly so that later on it won't ooze out. Okay, we have one. The reason why I've frozen the chocolate truffle or the chocolate ganache, so that when it goes into the oven, it will just slowly melts down, and then once you finish the baking, then you bite it, it will ooze out in your mouth. But I prefer to have a big one so that there will be a big explosion in my mouth once I bite it. I really love putting the chocolate ganache, Callebaut's chocolate ganache, into this recipe. It's just, it has that intense chocolate taste and flavor that other chocolates doesn't have, and I could only taste it with Callebaut's chocolate galettes. And whether it's milk chocolate, dark chocolate, or white chocolate, once the brand is Callebaut, you really can get the intense taste of chocolate, a great chocolate experience. So while the oven is still heating, so I'll put it in my mouth. That intense chocolate taste, that sensation in my mouth, really yummy. I'm having a goosebumps because of the taste, the tingling in my ear. Oh my gosh, it's that sensation of goodness. So I'll put it in the fridge first while the oven is preheating, so that at least it will still have time to firm up a little. So while waiting for the oven to reach the right temperature, I'll sieve the icing sugar. You have to work fast with this because if you let the cookie absorb the icing sugar, then it will look ugly later on. So I coat the top really heavily and press it. So as much as you can, don't coat the bottom because that will just burn. And put it in there. So it's just like a snow. It's a mountain with snow. I put the timer on for 6 minutes so that it will bake for 6 minutes for now, but I think it might extend to 7. It's because the filling is cold and it has an extra component in there in the middle. So it might give it a different baking time this time for a lava earthquake cookie. I call this lava earthquake cookie this time, not just chocolate earthquake cookie. So let's wait. Let's try this. Oh, wow. It's heaven. I know what I'm biting is chocolate goodness from Callebaut. So you try it. See that? Soft center. And then when you bite it, you can't have it from other chocolates. So there you go. You try MotherBee's Lava Earthquake Cookie.